Then on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the 2023 Big Ten Championship matchup between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Michigan Wolverines. Two teams that have had awesome seasons getting to this point, and it all comes down to this for the Big Ten title. Michigan 12-0 this season. This team has won the Big Ten 2 straight seasons. They've been to the college football playoff 2 straight seasons, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was the one for this team to finally go all the way for the national championship. But first, they got to take on Iowa in the Big Ten title game, and Iowa's a team that is very sneaky in the way they win games. Their offense is terrible, but their defense, one of the best in the country. This team has found their way to 10-2, and they won the Big Ten West this season. I know the Big Ten West is terrible, but Iowa knows how to win games. They have found a way in most of their games this season, and what an opportunity they have to take on Michigan for the Big Ten title. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with their team trends. Michigan beat Ohio State 30-24. Michigan was the favorite in this matchup. They had it in the big house and everything, but there were still doubts as to whether or not Michigan could win that. So huge win for the Wolverines there. They've beaten Ohio State 3 straight seasons now and looking for their 3rd straight Big Ten title. This team has officially gotten over the hump, and they're the top power in the Big Ten. 12-0 on the season, 9-0 in conference. They're ranked number 2 in the AP poll. I'd assume they'll be 2 in the college football playoff rankings as well. You look at Iowa on the other side. They beat Nebraska 13-10 on the road. Didn't come easy. That was a game that was close all the way till the very end, but that's kind of been the story for most of Iowa's games this season. It tends to be pretty close, very low scoring as well, but the Hawks tend to find a way in the end to win somehow, some way. And that has led this team to 10-2 and 7-2 in conference, also being number 18 in the AP poll this week. Games be on Saturday, the 2nd in Indianapolis. Kickoff is 8 p.m. Eastern. This is as wide of a spread as I've seen, I think, ever for a conference championship. Michigan by 23. They're favored by 23 points in this matchup. Over-under is 35.5. I think that's the most insane thing. Your over-under is still really low. Anything below 40 is usually pretty low, and most of Iowa's games this season, in fact, have been below 30. That's why this team is such an interesting team to play against. But Michigan is favored to pretty much blow out Iowa in this matchup, or at least almost shut them out. Your FBI is going Michigan 92%. Series history, Michigan leads at 44-15. They've been pretty dominant in this series. They've also won the past 3, but in the past 10, the series is tied 5-5. Stat comparison, Michigan is 10th in points per game, 1st in points allowed. This is the top team in the country defensively, and the offense has also been incredible for this team this season. You look at J.J. McCarthy, the way he's played, Blake Corum, this backfield, Roman Wilson, everyone around. This is an experienced team that is built to win this season. It's really no surprise seeing Michigan as big of a contender as they are. But you look at Iowa on the other side. This team is also one of the best teams in the country defensively, but their offense is absolutely horrible. That's why this is such an interesting team to watch, because their defense is so good. They're 4th in points allowed, 9th in pass defense, 15th in rush defense. All top 15 there defensively, but their offense, 120th in points per game, 130th in pass yards a game, and 101st in rush yards a game. This offense is terrible in Iowa. Their defense has single-handedly, I feel like, won their way to Indianapolis. And if their defense was bad, this would probably be a 3 or 4 win team tops this season. That's how good this defense is for Iowa. So you consider that. And you consider, Cade McNamara obviously left the season early with an injury, so it's been Deacon Hill since. And you look at Deacon Hill's stats the past few games, for the past 2 months pretty much. He's only passed for just under 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He also doesn't run the ball. So, you got a quarterback who really does nothing. You got a backfield who's got LaShawn Williams, who's had a pretty good season, 700 yards and a touchdown. That's all he's got, though. And, so for Iowa here, this is a team that, as defensively, they're as good as anybody in the country, but their offense is terrible. And so it makes you wonder, though, if this offense was good for Iowa, how far could this team go? This Iowa team could be a contender right along with like a Michigan or Ohio State if their offense was better. That's just what it comes down to. Your recent matchups, Michigan beat Ohio State 30-24, beat Maryland by a touchdown as well. So a couple of close games down the stretch, but they've also played 3 of the better teams in the Big Ten. Penn State, obviously, the week before that, beat them 24-15. Took care of Purdue 41-13. Also beat Michigan State 49-0 back in late October. As for Iowa, they beat Nebraska by 3. beat Illinois by 2 both games. This team kind of had to come from behind. They beat Rutgers 22-0. Probably one of the better wins this team has had this season. They also beat Northwestern 10-7, lost to Minnesota 10-12. So, I mean, you kind of get the idea with Iowa. This is a team that tries to keep it as low scoring as possible, and they try to find a way at the very end of the game. And this team has been pretty successful in doing that this season. And even the Minnesota game, they lost it technically, but the controversial ending there, they honestly should have won that game. So this Iowa team should be 11-1 pretty much heading into this matchup. Your key points: Michigan 12-0. This team is experienced. They are built to win. This team they've got experience. And having J.J. McCarthy back and, Blake Corum, you consider everything about Michigan. And for them to beat Ohio State for the 3rd straight season, it's pretty incredible to see how Michigan has completely taken over the Big Ten after being pretty much Ohio State's little brother for so long there pre-2020. So, in the 2020s, Michigan has taken over. This is the top power in the conference right now, and they're looking for their 3rd straight Big Ten title here. And obviously, this would lead to the college football playoff as well. It makes you wonder. Michigan's probably going to be the 2 seed if they do win this matchup. They could be the 1 if Georgia somehow loses to Alabama. But I feel like for Michigan this season, this is probably the team that's going to do it. If they're going to win a national championship, I feel like this is the season where Michigan finally does it. I feel like they're the most complete team that we've seen the past 3 years this season. But you look at Iowa on the other side, this team is 10-2 solely because of their defense once again, as I've mentioned a few times already. You look at Deacon Hill, if you look at this offense, they average 18 points a game. Down the stretch, they scored 22 at Rutgers, and that's 22 points. Scoring over 20 for this team is honestly, that's a rarity at this point for the Hawks. This team usually scores right around 15 or so down the stretch, and they find a way to win late, somehow get a field goal at the very last second. So that's been the MO for Iowa this season. But I will say, though, when we saw this team take on Penn State, which is far and away the best team that they've played this season, didn't work out too well. They lost the game 31-0. And that's the problem. If this offense can't get anything going, which you're going up against the top defense in the country in Michigan, it's going to be tough sailing for you. So for Iowa, the only way that Iowa's going to win this game is if they can find a way to score either on special teams or a pick six or a scoop and score or something, because I feel like this offense, it's going to be tough for them to score more than 7 to 10 tops in this matchup. You're going up against, once again, the top defense in the country. So, for Iowa, though, this is a huge chance for this team. They were in this position 2 years ago, taking on Michigan. Back in 2021, it didn't go too well, but, Iowa, you never know. Michigan is a 23-point favorite in this matchup. And obviously for Michigan, they don't want to go sleepwalking into this one either. Iowa's a team that knows how to take advantage of you and find a way to win late in the matchup. So, for Iowa, it's a huge chance to shock the college football world. And for Michigan, I obviously don't want to overlook it with the college football playoff and a national championship very much still in the picture. So with that, let's get the prediction here for Michigan and Iowa coming up here in the Big Ten title game. In the end, it's going to be no surprise what my prediction is, but I'm going Michigan 24-10. I do think Iowa finds a way to score 10, which you typically would say scoring 10 points in a game is terrible, but for Iowa, not too bad against Michigan, the top defense in the country. Once again, it's just going to be so tough for Deacon Hill and for this offense to move the ball really at all against this Michigan defense, as long as Michigan's defense plays to the standard they have this entire season pretty much. But I think Iowa finds a way to keep it close for a while. I feel like Iowa's defense especially, they're going to play ball and they're going to keep it close at least for a while. So Michigan, I've only got them scoring 24. I think this is going to be a pretty low-scoring matchup, as for many of Michigan's games this season. For Iowa's games this season. And really look at the Hawks this year. Penn State, once again, that was far and away the toughest matchup this team has played, and they got shut out 31-0. So, I'm a little more optimistic with this game for the Hawks. I do think they at least score some points and keep it close for a while, but Michigan just too good of a team, and they're just all around. Their offense is... Iowa's defense is good, but Iowa's not a complete team, and Michigan is. So I'm saying 80% towards Michigan, taking the under on the points, and Iowa to cover the spread in the end. But with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, your score predictions, all of that, and stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.